I agree. That like live as it was. Well, not live. I didn't watch it live. I was out. I watched it the next morning. But live as it were, um, in play, you couldn't really see that there was a knock on. But
No.
it certainly was a surprise even before you saw all the replays that it wasn't checked because it wasn't
Yeah.
like absolutely backwards.
No.
And then when you see the replays, the first replays were like, well, he knocks it back, but then something
But it
happens
looked
to it, but you couldn't
forwards.
quite tell what. And then there was a replay that made it clear that it
Yeah.
came off Kenny Dow's right hand after
Yeah.
tapping him out of his left hand, and it did go marginally forwards. It was
Yeah.
forwards. It shouldn't have been allowed to play on. I think none of that excuses the fact that Cass then let them follow up with that Kane Linnett try off the back of the brilliant 40-20 from Jordan Abdul because that was really poor goal line defence. That was them
Yeah.
remembering how bad the goal line defence was at Magic Weekend and thinking, let's have another crack at that because
Yeah.
that was stoppable. And I think in the overall outcome of the game, yes, the try that shouldn't have been given was pivotal in getting to score to that point. But the try that was then conceded immediately off the back of that was the one that won the game, not the first one. And I get you could say the second one
Yeah.
might not have come out the first one, and all of those things. But ultimately, Cass then didn't have anything really up the other end of the pitch to say that they were gonna score again, whereas Hull KR had kind of done the scoring at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think Cass had further opportunities to put that behind them. I mean, they were still winning the game after this try. So, a great side might have been able to stop that momentum flowing. I disagree with Rod Studd, who says there's no momentum in rugby league. I think that's bollocks. More bollocks from Rod Studd. But I do. But I think Cass could have still won this game, notwithstanding the fact that they got a bit of a bum call. That hey, it happens, doesn't it, in rugby? Sometimes you do get a bum call, and you have to sort it out and get on with it. And there's no point making excuses because it happens. Mistakes happen, and you have to tough it out. But I have some sympathy with them because I think it was a strange one not to check the VR, and I think if he had, it would have been disallowed. But there you go. Notwithstanding that error, it was a really good game of rugby. I really enjoyed this match, watched it live, and I thought it was a very good game.
Well, the first three tries were fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. The first try that Mikey Lewis scored from Lynette's break was a belter down the way. It was really good try. So it was a very enjoyable game. Some high quality from both teams.
Yeah, the Mikey Lewis try I thought was fantastic. Maybe the pick of the tries, but then both Evans tries were good. The way Cass spread the ball across the field for the Alfert's try, even though I tell you what, if we're talking about fine margins and video refereeing decisions, there was a case for a knock on there. I think if you're a Hull KR fan, you've seen a knock on, or certainly not grounded cleanly, but at the same time probably was okay. Just, very much just. I think, there were some really good tries, which was good to see. I thought Mikey Lewis was very good. He keeps impressing me. Jordan Abdul came back in, and I don't think he was 100% how he has been, but he kicked that crucial 40-20. He seemed to be a little bit more involved as well as the game went on in controlling the field position to a large extent. One thing that Hull KR might be wondering about is the Ryan Hall injury. That'll be a worry for them. He was pulled. He couldn't come out for the second half, could he? And he's been obviously outstanding. So I don't know where that leaves things. And Cass really need McShane back.
They do. They do. He's the heartbeat of the team, both on defence and attack, McShane. And so it's going to be an interesting call. Is he fit enough to play this week or isn't he? Because it's kind of all on the line now, isn't it? So there's no point. If he can play, then he's got to, I guess, because there's no point resting him for the week after. There might not be a week after.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that the key thing of it was they seemed to run out of ideas later on in the game when Hull KR were scrambling for their life.
Yeah.
You didn't feel that Castleford's attack was in that same mode where they were trying anything to try and get the job done. That Evalds try kind of was a bit like that at the start of the second half, but after that, I don't remember feeling like they were a particularly big threat. I think they really missed McShane's short kicking game close to the line and Truman's, as well. But and I think that would have been maybe a difference maker in this game because Milner, for as good as he is and can be, he isn't a very skillful attacking player.
No.
He's got lots of other qualities, but being smarter than the defence close to the line isn't one.
No.
And I think that was a big factor for me in this game.
Yeah. I think they had territory in possession at times that maybe a McShane would have converted into a few more opportunities into points for them. I also think his leadership on the field when things did go against them and that try decision was given. Maybe if you've got McShane on the field, he helps to stem that switch in momentum.
Yeah, and look, Cass were close in this game, yet they were missing some seriously important leaders. No Watson, no Millington either. Shouldn't be overlooked. So basically, the starting front row wasn't there, or the best front row combination wasn't there in this one. I do not understand why James Clare's getting picked ahead of Greg Eden unless Greg Eden's injured again or something. That's strange to me because I think in a game like this there's gonna be scores anyway.
Yeah.
And you want the players who are more likely to score, I feel like, and to me James Clare isn't that. Even though he works hard, he plugs away, he gets his meters, he does his exit set work, he's solid, but he's unspectacular. And this game had quite a bit of spectacular in it, and maybe just one or two more pieces of spectacular from Cass, and they could have won it.
Well, it's definitely going to be a big regret if they don't manage now to turn this into a playoff place with the drinking in the last chance saloon this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, they've got Warrington, so we'll sort of look at how that might go next.
Operation Piss the League is hanging by a thread right now.
That is. Okay. Game 6. I must admit I don't know too much about this one. Lee 26, Wakefield 18. It was 18-10 for Wakefield at half time, but Lee managed to pull it back. 2,905 were there to see it. Robert Hicks was the referee. That's an abysmal crowd figure. Team stats wise, the crucial stats was errors, Lee making 8 fewer than Wakefield. They also made more meters, and whilst both sides had 5 breaks, Lee converted those chances better. 5 tries, with Trin only getting 3. Individually, Sam Stone, 1 try assist, but it was forward, 141 meters and 3 successful offloads. Ian Thornley, a try assist and 170 meters. Adam Sidlow should be in Super League still next year. 1 try and 124 metres. And Ryan Briley, 3 tries, 111 metres for the losing Wakey side. Riesling, a try, 5 tackles, 221 metres and 2 clean breaks. James Batchelor, 47 tackles, 12 mark tackles. David Fafita, 1 try and 113 metres. And Jordan Crowther, 45 tackles, 11 of which were marker tackles. We got one fan viewing on this one, but it wasn't someone who was there, and I'm not sure what he's saying, but Fatboy Rob said, told you, hashtag Rob knows best. He must have told me that Wakefield were going to beat lose at Lee.
He must have done.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe you were 6-7 pints deep at that stage, Mark, and it didn't quite register.
And I wouldn't really care, would I?
No, I watched the highlights as I'm sure you did. There was nothing on this game, and it showed.
Yeah, I mean, Brealey's second try, that was the pick, wasn't it? Nice passing in their own half by Lee, and then a good break down the outside by, I think it was Thornley. Passed it back inside to Brealey, supporting like he always used to for Lee in the Championship. It looked very reminiscent of those days. Although the hat-trick try was clearly off a forward offload, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Lee's third try, Brierley's second was as you say, the highlight of it. Lee had a couple of plays sin bin right near the end of the game as well, I think, for sort of professional fouls.
There was Rob Butler's one was for carrying the ball in with an elbow and putting the elbow into the face of the opposition, but nothing's come out of that on the disciplinary. And then Ryan Braley for a professional foul.
Yeah, but it didn't look like there was. It didn't. Yeah, it did. The game didn't look like there was a lot on it, and there wasn't a lot on it. So probably enough said about that one.
Well, the main talking point to take away from this one was probably the program notes and the interviews, and we should focus on the people on the pitch, but
do we have to talk about him again?
Well, I think it'd be remiss if we don't point out how fucking stupid he is. If not for nothing else, the photograph that's on the Love Rugby League website that goes with this story shows what the fucking man is. That is a ridiculous item of clothing. After the shirt last week was 3 shirts stitched together, he's now stitched 2 hoodies together. Looks ridiculous. But basically, his program notes were really calling out his players for the performance in that second half at Magic Weekend, which I think, in a way is his right to do that, and I think fair enough. He's not blaming anyone else, he's blaming from within. And he's basically saying the players got Duffy sacked, and actually probably should have sacked the players. Was kind of the undertone to what he was saying. And fair enough, he takes it personally. He puts a lot into it. That's in a way fair enough. But he's also come out and said that there should be a legal challenge if Toulouse get promoted to Super League, because it's Toulouse's fault that no one's travelled to France, and that actually, to be fair to Toulouse, they've played 2 home games in England to have made sure they played everyone. So let's give them some sort of fairness there. And they beat Featherstone when they played Featherstone, and Featherstone are one of the teams that chose not to travel to France to play them. So why on earth should they have any fucking say in any legal challenge? I do not know. But Mr. Beaumont thinks that they should. He said if you look at it from Mark Campbell's point of view, is he getting a fair fight? I don't believe he is. Well, I think he is. Personally, that's my view.
Let's be clear. Beaumont's just a twat, isn't he? He was. I mean, what the hell was he expecting when he came up to Super League? He knew the score. He must have, unless he's thick, then he must have known when he came up that he was going straight back down.
Well, from an on-field perspective as well, what had Lee done to deserve that place in Super League? They hadn't deserved it. No. Toulouse had a better record than them. Featherstone had more claim over it as the team that lost to Toronto in the £1 million game. There was other claims that other teams had over it, I think. And I think the only reason Lee got it is because of this national delusion we had a year ago that we were going to get crowds back in, and everyone who used to go to rugby league games was going to come straight back to rugby league games, and Lee were therefore the best choice because they had the best crowd situation for that to happen. And that's not come to fruition because there was less than 3,000 at this game.
Yeah.
And I can understand why Lee fans wouldn't bother going. I can understand why Wakefield fans wouldn't bother travelling to it either. I wouldn't pay 25 quid to sit behind the sticks to watch a game that meant nothing to no one, really. So, but that's the only reason they got this place, though, in reality.
Yeah, and it's clear when they got it, the cap that they were operating under, their opportunity to sort the side out before coming up, that they had very little chance. The probability was probably 80-20, maybe even 90-10 that they were going to go straight back down. Yeah, I mean, so he can have absolutely no complaints. I mean, he wanted to come up, he's come up, he must have known.
Yeah, he didn't have to apply to come up, did he? He could have let Toulouse and Featherstone and York battle it out, and Bradford, who the other teams. He didn't have to apply to come up.
No.
You know, and quite clearly, this side has not been up to scratch. He said it in his own programme notes. Embarrassing.